Notts County Talk, welcome to the first one of our live previews. We trialled this software yesterday. Unfortunately, George couldn't be with us for that, but we had Holly on the discussion and people really enjoyed that. So thank you for those that tuned in. We're going to be doing for the remainder of the season. We feel like we need a balance as fans to get us together. We are going to be doing a lot more of these live shows and previews, aren't we, George?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, look forward to it as well. Brings a new dynamic to the channel. It's a bit more interactive for everyone. Isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So let's go on. You actually missed the game yesterday.
Yeah, I was good actually. Yeah, it's like a bit of a last-minute hiccup, but yeah, I was good because I wanted to watch every game this season. But it's just one of those things. Good to miss it.
It was actually a decent performance as you've watched our videos. So it's momentum. It's grinding out a result. It's one we didn't play. We didn't play badly at all. To be fair, a lot of people were saying that the performance wasn't there. It's going to take time to adapt to a new formation. But any surprise in the lineup for you yesterday?
Well, yeah, there was a few. Obviously, you've got the 5 at the back change. We did see it a little bit, didn't we, last season, at the start of last season. It didn't really work. But, if it's grinding out a result like it did yesterday, you take it. And I think you're looking at Effiong as well. I mean, I think you said it in one of the videos. I think Knowles and Sam come before Effiong. I don't really understand what that one's about, but I think he supposedly didn't play very well yesterday. So hopefully Ardley gives either Sam or Knowles a chance ahead of him now. Yeah,
definitely. So let's have a quick look at the opposition tomorrow. Boreham. We definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, they are going to be streaks ahead of Wealdstone, who played for that draw.
Yeah,
absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, they are going to be above them, and we're going to have a stiff test. Do you remember the fixture at Meadow Lane where they scored ahead in their set? I think it was a set piece.
It's Turner's red card. I remember it like it was yesterday. Yeah.
It just wasn't a great performance. And I feel like that was a time when it should have really been a lot better. We should have been pushing on. So
that was a time though. I vividly remember it where it was you were watching a game and you were screaming at your TV for someone just to have that bit of better quality in the final third, because we had plenty of chances in that game to put them to bed. I think
100%.
But we just threw it away.
If you've just joined us, thank you for joining along. If you comment we are live on Twitter and on YouTube. If you do put a comment on, we'll flick it on the screen and we'll chat about it.
Yep.
But any questions, just send them in. So looking at the stats then, do you want to kick off or me?
I'll let you kick off. I'll go on with mine in a bit.
Yeah, so Notts currently sitting 10th on 38 points. Boreham Wood sitting 10th on 38 points. Notts currently still in the playoffs in 6th position with 41 points. Now, 4 games difference between the sides. Notts obviously have that games in hand over pretty much everyone but Dover, which is interesting. So we can actually jump a few teams with a victory, and if results go our way on Tuesday night. Boreham Wood have 1 win in the last 9. Now, I know we're saying it's going to be a tricky ask. They have 1 win in 9 games, don't they?
Yeah, well, yeah, they do. You're looking, something I was looking at their home form this season. They've not had a win since the 2nd of February, and I think that was against Weymouth. So, not one of the best teams in the league, And you're looking at our away form. I was quite surprised at it, to be honest. Notts County Stats tweeted it. That's what obviously caught my attention. In our last 6 away games, we've won 4 and drawn 2. And when you think about how you feel about Notts at the moment, it doesn't look too bad, does it? Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's quite negative at the moment. Obviously, after the weekend's 3 points, not so much. But you're looking more towards home form now, where we've been fairly poor. So hopefully we can take advantage of Boreham Wood's bad run and get another 3 points, really.
Yeah, I've got a good question that's just come in the chat. We'll go on to that in a minute. But if you look at the recent 5 games, both sides have very similar, exactly the same goals for and against. So both sides have scored 4 and conceded 5, although not seem to have just ground those better results out in those games. Boreham Wood really are in a sticky patch at the minute. Did get their 0-0 against Torquay, which actually helped Notts out, and it is a good result, although Torquay are a side dropping down. And something that really did catch my eye, if you look back to their last 10 games, which they've got 1 win in the last 9, but in their last 10, they've lost the lead a fair few times. They've given a 2-0 lead up to Dagenham and Redbridge, given a 2-1 lead up to Solihull, given a 1-0 lead up to Bromley. They're a team that are low on confidence, Knots are sort of on the rise now, aren't they?
Yeah, I'd like to think we are. You know, the change of tactics, the new personnel, I think it gives that like boost, doesn't it? And I think Ellis will be flying now, getting a goal on his debut, putting a good performance. So I've heard. So
have you heard about the long throw?
Yeah, I heard you mentioning that. That's exciting, isn't it? Because obviously we lost Mitch Rose, who sort of had that long throw ability. So it just adds another string to the bow of the team, doesn't it?
Yeah, before we get on to that question, one player we know a lot about, very good in this league, Kabongo Tashimanga, their top scorer last season. He's currently on 11 goals as it stands in 27 games. So, you know, he's a very good player. But like you just said with Ellis and that back three, we get no chances up to Willstone, other than some that were sort of our fault.
Yeah.
But I'm feeling pretty confident on that front. He's a very good striker.
Yeah.
But I've got to say,
you look at those centre backs, though. They've got tons of experience between them. You know, Lacey, Rawlinson, and Ellis. If you're going to have a back three, I think in the National League, I know we seem to say that a lot, but it's probably the best back three you could possibly have in the National League. Look at the experience they have. You know, so I think in that sense we are lucky.
Yeah. Let's get on to a question then, George. You can tackle this one.
Yeah, let me read it out. Do we still think Knots are going up? I think that our only chance now is playoffs. So
a tough one. Sutton are running away with it in a minute.
They are, but can you remember how I felt about Torquay? We felt exactly the same about Torquay. You know, there's roughly for Knots about 20 games left to play. That's 60 points left to play for. So, I mean, I think anything could happen. Like, look at the game we played Sutton. I know they weren't on the form they're in now, but you know, it was a really tight game and we ended up nicking that 1-0 win. I think if we can regain that sort of positive mentality and start dominating possession again, which in the games where we were winning and, you know, getting a result from, I think we'll be back to good ways. And it's just, I think the problem at the minute is not ability, it's just pure confidence. Confidence has been on the floor.
I think it's inevitable that Sutton are going to have a drop off, because it looked the exact same. Like you said, it's completely the same as with Torquay. Torquay looked like they were never going to have a drop off. They were steamrolling teams. They were scoring last minute goals to keep unbeaten runs going. Sutton will have a drop off, but then it's on us to catch them up.
Yeah,
and it's on us to actually make ground on them, because at the minute they have a poor result, we lose. We're not making that ground up. So do you think we're going up? Do you think we're going up? I really hope so. And I think, as you're saying, you think the only chance is playoffs. I would think that my mind will be made up on that in probably the next 5 games, I think.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I don't think anything's cement in place yet. I still think Knots could get automatic. I honestly do. I think anyone sort of in the playoffs from maybe Knots below could still clinch that first place. You look at the teams in there, like team I think of Hartlepool, they were, you know, very good when they came to us this season. You know, they've got the likes of Crawford in their team, who was quality for us at the back end of last season. So, you know, it's a tough division. I think every division's tough. You know, everyone says the National League's tough. I think every division's tough if you're challenging. So, yeah, it should be interesting. At this moment in time, if I had to say, I'd probably say it probably will be through playoffs. But by the same token, I do believe if we can regain some confidence in the squad and just a bit of happiness around the club, you know, because you look online, it's quite negative at the moment, which is understandable. I think we can push on. I do. I believe in the squad.
Yeah. Got another question from Max. So Max says, even though Neil said he changed the tactics for the game on Saturday, that he wouldn't be against playing that again, but he's concerned how many games Lacey Rawlinson will play. You don't like to rotate pairings in defence, but with a 3 at the back, I feel like you have to do that at some point. I also am on that. I'm concerned about the likes of Cal Roberts, because where does he fit in unless he's going to play in that role Enzio did behind the strikers? There isn't really room for a winger. And Holly actually said in the discussion yesterday, yes, you can sort of play, if needed to, a winger in that wing-back formation, but Cal Roberts would not be suited to a wing-back formation in my eyes. So that does concern me. But it also lends to what Lee Kurtz was saying, that he suspects that maybe Cal Roberts is now out for the season.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a massive blow for us, I think, and for him, it'd be gutted if that is the truth. But sort of going back to what Max is saying, I think if we are to stick to what we're to the formation and the tactics, I do agree. Rawlinson and Lacey have played a lot of games this season.
Yeah.
But you look at players that potentially could be coming back from injury. I know Ben Turner's not too far off. I think.
Well, he was on the bench on Saturday.
Oh, there you go. He's not up to fitness, which is why he wouldn't be starting. But also Damien McCrory, you know, when he's back, I'm sure he would have no problem playing. You know, he plays centre back if he has to in a back four, but I think he'd prefer to play sort of left or right centre back of a back three.
Right. Last question before we move on to our team. Then we've got Will. You might know Will. Real Madrid vibes after the win earlier in the season. Will be joining us. Yeah, will be joining us for the discussion on Saturday. So if you enjoy Will, also likened Joel Bagan to Marcelo, didn't he? Iconic is Will. How many players will leave if we don't go up this year, and who? Lots. Ben Turner for one. Carl will probably go up. Carl Roberts.
I think Ben Turner will probably leave anyway, because in terms of business, it's not great business to have a player at the club that is injury prone. As harsh as that is to say, you know, at the end of the day, it's a business. It doesn't make sense to be paying a player that's going to be injured for a lot of the season. But yeah, I agree. The owner said at the end of last season that Wootton and Roberts had some interest from higher up. I can't really see, given the season that Roberts has ended up having, unless he comes back and has some major league good games, him leaving the club. As good as he is, he's not really been able to show that quality this season, I don't think. Wootton, I'm not really sure, because he's doing well, but he's not like I don't know. I don't want to be too critical, because he is a good player and he does a lot. Like, he's a team player more than he would be. Like,
I think he'd be snapped up.
Do you?
I think he'd be snapped up. Yeah, I do.
I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world either, to be honest. I mean, I like Wootton, don't get me wrong, but if he were to be snapped up, he's obviously under contract for at least another year, I believe. So they'd have to pay not some money. So replacement for Wootton with the systems that we have in place, I do feel like we could probably get a decent player in to fill the gap, you know.
That's not going to happen though, is it? Well, because we're going to get promoted.
Yeah, hopefully so. Yeah, hopefully. But I think players, other players as well. I mean, you could look at. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Kelly Evans left.
Good player.
Fantastic. I think you look at the season. He's player of the season for me so far.
Yeah, I've got to agree. Let's go on to the injuries then, and the situation we're looking at before we flash our team up. George, I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, so we've got a handful, haven't we? Well, Ben Turner's obviously come back from his now, hasn't he? As he was on the bench on Saturday. Obviously, he's not going to have the match fitness. We've got Brinley, who's got that sort of groin injury, hasn't he? Not heard really much about that, have we? And McCrory, another one where we've not really got a time scale on it. I'd love to know when he's coming back, because like we just discussed, I think he could work well in a back three. And we obviously just discussed Carl Roberts, who's got, I think it's a calf injury now, isn't it? So
it's not good. I think he was brought on too early against Stockport, and there's been no news of it. Yeah, no news. We brought in Knight, who I'm very excited to see play, actually. I think he'd be fantastic. We're hearing he's lightning quick. And when I looked at the Bradford Park Avenue Twitter page afterwards, and all of them were saying you've got a really good player there. So that's really promising as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, a few injuries. And if the squad was fully fresh, I don't know if this formation would stay the same. I would like to keep it. But should we go on to our lineup?
Yeah.
So the lineup we have gone for that we would like to see sticks with that same formation, doesn't it, George? With that 5-3-2, 3-5-2 fluidity. Slocum in goal. Back five stays unchanged. Kelly Evans, Dion Kelly Evans, Rawlinson, Ellis, Lacey, and Miller. Now this is where our change comes in, doesn't it? In central midfield. So we've gone for Reeves and O'Brien. I'm assuming Reeves is back from his ban, but O'Brien. If Reeves isn't back, it'll be Doyle. But I can't drop O'Brien after that game. I know you didn't see it, but I can't drop him. I thought he was fantastic.
Do you know the one thing about O'Brien I will give him credit for? If you put him on the pitch, you know he's going to give his all. He's that sort of player where he's just got that grit and determination. And you know it's just his mentality. Like, he's going to give it all. And the games where he doesn't have the best, you can almost imagine how frustrated he's going to be with himself. But yeah, I'm good. I missed the game on Saturday to see how well he did play. And I was also thinking before the game as well, it's actually mad how much we haven't seen him this season when you think about it.
Yeah. I think that it could do with a shake-up. I know we saw obviously a shake-up, that was a forced shake-up with Reeves. I do think it would be beneficial to see a bit of a midfield shake-up, because the energy O'Brien brought, yes, Doyle's got fantastic energy and Reeves has fantastic energy, but O'Brien was literally driving through at some points, and especially when the game opened up after Wildstone scored, he was really proactive and he was really going for him. Ardley constantly talks about how the players have to earn their spot. Well, the players earn their spot here for me, and now you've got to go on that promise, because Doyle was good. Doyle's a fantastic player for us, but he was better than Doyle this game. So it's either Doyle and O'Brien stay there for me, or Doyle drops out and Reeves comes in.
Yeah,
no, that's still a very good midfield too.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, there's two players there, Reeves and O'Brien, like the back three that we were just speaking about. Tons of experience between them. You look across the squad, there's lots of players in the squad that have had promotions. They know how to do it. Mark Ellis always talks about wanting to get promotion, and that's his goal for this season. So if you've got players like that in the squad, I think you're driving in the right direction, aren't you?
Yeah. Enzio sort of played a free roaming role behind the striker, or behind the two strikers. I think I'd like to see Rodriguez given that. I feel like Rodriguez is someone that, if you make him the main man, he either relishes it or he's taken out the game by too many players marking him. I think we need to see Rodriguez in behind the strikers to create for them, because Enzio was decent, but for me, Enzio's better coming in off the wing.
Yeah, I mean, like you sort of brushed over earlier, I agree with what you're saying about Rodriguez. I think given the chance in that sort of position where he's got that free roaming behind the strikers, but I do think as well that could work for Carl Roberts if he's going to be back this season. I think. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think he's just got that attacking intent, hasn't he? And if he's given the freedom to sort of roam left and right if he wants to, then he can attack the wings. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The only thing with this formation is, how do you get Rodriguez, Enzio, and Carl Roberts in?
Yeah, that's it.
It's a tricky one. That's why I'm not sold on the formation. As in, I'm not sold if it's a long-term thing, which, I'm hoping we're playing a formation week in, week out, and we're not chopping and changing for opposition, but we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Takes us to our strikers then. Do you want to talk about them?
Yeah, so Wotton, picks himself. I think he's one of the first names on the team sheet, isn't he? Main spine of the squad. And Eli Sam, we had a quick phone call last night, didn't we, talking about the game. And I sort of said, I think he's just got that sort of burst in him, hasn't he, where he can stop dead with the ball 1 minute, and then next minute he's charging, taking on a man. And he can seem to amount so much power in a shot from literally just standing over the ball. So I think give him a chance. We've not really seen a front two much this season at all. I think give it a chance for a few games and change it around a little bit. Try Wotton and Sam. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, try Wotton and Knowles. Because I think Wotton and Knowles generally play well together and play off each other well. So
yeah, the question just coming from Mark. It's a good question, Mark. We'll get onto that in a second, just after we finish our team news. But I think Wotton starts, and I think the player that starts with Wotton has to complement him. And I don't think we've quite found that player yet. The closest to complementing Wotton for me is Knowles. Effiong for me did nothing yesterday, didn't offer anything. Oddly, it's the first time I'd seen, you wouldn't have seen, obviously, he missed it. He was so animated, literally screaming at the point where the camera panned down to Ollie to show him. He was going nuts at why Effiong wasn't pressing. But I think I would like to see Knight come in and be the man that just says, right, look, I'm going to partner up with Wotton, because no one's staked their claim. That's why there is no partnership with Wotton. No one's staked that claim.
Yeah.
And I want Knight to come in and be that man. But for this game, Boreham are our physical side, it's got to be Eli Sam, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, you've got to think about morale of a player like him.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I feel, I mean, it's so difficult for him, I think. Look at the way that he's come into the country, it's not like you can go and socialize after the games with the players and stuff like that, because we're in a lockdown and we pretty much have been. I mean, I know we were out for a little bit last year when he did join originally, but I'd say it's quite lonely for him. Do you know what I mean? So on the flip side of maybe his performance have been as sharp as they have been, I'd say it's very difficult to join a club. And I mean, I know he's living the dream playing football in England and all that sort of stuff, but I do think, like Rodriguez as well, in a similar position, I think you just got to give those players a little bit more time to sort of just gel into not even the league. It's just being in a different country, and essentially you're on your own, you know.
Yeah, good point. So that's our 11 that we're going for. We've not got it spot on many times this season, have we? 3 or 4 times maybe we've got it spot on.
Yeah.
But let us know what you think of that 11. I personally think, just looking at the pure names there, that should be enough to win. It should be enough to win most games.
I think so.
Yeah, but we'll move on to a question then from Mark. So Mark's asked if we're not promoted and Wootton gets snapped up, he would like to. Well, he said he'd like to see Quigley, and not if Barrow relegated. Good point. I also want to go straight on to the fact that Stockport looking Sam Paddy Madden, unbelievable.
Yeah, good
player to come in. But yeah, I would take Quigley if they're not promoted. And also Marcus said, I'll let you read that one.
With Audley out of contract, with all his contract being up in the summer, do you think the owner will offer him an extension? If not, then who do you think the owners will bring in? I'd like to see the current Hartlepool manager. Well, I suppose it depends, doesn't it, really, on what sort of the outcome of this season is. I think if we get promotion, you'll get an extension. You can't not extend a manager's contract after a promotion season, especially given what he did last season. I mean, there's always going to be that affiliation with Ardley, which is sad because he was the manager essentially that took Notts down. But I think he walked into a team that was going to be relegated anyway. Yeah, exactly.
Literally walked into it.
And you look at last season, I remember the sort of madness before, I think it was like 3 days before the season, wasn't it? When we signed like 6 or 7 players.
Transfer Thursday,
yeah. You look at that and you look where we were at the end of the season, and we've said it a few times. If the season would have finished, we believe that we probably would have got automatic because Barrow were dropping off and we were steamrolling teams.
Yeah, literally.
Actually, it was a year today, wasn't it, actually, that the Eastleigh game where we won 4-0, and you look at that and it's like, wow, like we steamrolled them, and the goals we scored were quality goals as well. So
they were. Yeah, great question, Mark. Thanks for that. Final question we're going to go to is Anthony's. So I just wish Ardley would use the subs earlier when things are not going well during the game. Agreed.
Yeah.
I think I saw someone on Twitter, I can't remember who it was, said the first sub will be 85th minute, Sam Freffion, and the first sub was 85th minute, Sam Freffion. He's very tactical, Ardley. He does things for a reason, but sometimes he's screaming out for an early sub. Sometimes I wish in the prior games, like the Kings Lynn when we were being battered and things like that, I do wish that he would have just taken someone off at half time, showed real intent there, and said it's not good enough. Yeah, and just swap it around. But I agree with that. I'd like to see a few earlier subs.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that Ardley does that I think a lot of fans wouldn't necessarily agree with. That being one of the main ones. I mean, last season you look at some of the games where we didn't do too well, and you looked at the subs we were making, and they were virtually identical every game. It was like if Dennis had started, Thomas had come on in the 60th minute, or if Thomas had started, Dennis had come on in the 60th minute, and then there'd be some like flimsy changes with a few minutes to go, etc., etc. But this season, it's not as transparent as that, and you do feel a lot of the time like the subs he's making are too little, too late. Whether that be him being stubborn to his tactics and him believing in his tactics, you can't really fault him for that. But on the flip side, you've just got to bring someone in to ignite it. That's what subs are there for, to just bring something fresh into a game that you're obviously struggling to get something from.
Yeah. Thank you for everyone that has sent in a question. We'll go to the end now. We'll look at our predictions for the game. Obviously, we've said that Notts somehow, I don't know where it's come from. I don't. We have the best away record in the past 6 games of anyone in the league. That's kind of come out of nowhere. Boreham 1 win in 9, lost the lead in 3 of those 9 games, lost a 2-0 lead in one of those to Dagenham side that aren't fantastic. Notts looking to be on the up. Bournemouth got a good result against Torquay, but Torquay aside they're just dropping a little bit. So we'll go on to our predictions. George, we'll go with your prediction first.
Yeah, so obviously, as you can see on the screen, I went 1-0 Notts. I've gone for Miller to get the goal. I think we've not been firing goals in, have we? Let's be honest. I don't think it's going to be a game filled with goals. I think it's going to be, a very defensive game, if you will. Both teams sort of blanking each other out. It's probably not going to be the prettiest game of football, I don't think. But I think with Miller sort of given that more of a winger role, obviously he's got to still have that defensive aspect about him being a left wing back. But yeah, I think, he can tick that box. I think he can get a goal. It'd be nice to see him get a goal as well. I think he deserves it. The games for me that he's played, majority of the time, he's been a good player.
Yeah. Going back to both Notts and Boreham having the identical 4 goals scored, 5 conceded, I agree with you that it's going to be a low-scoring game. What I am going to go with Boreham not scoring in the last 2, I'm going to go with Boreham 0, Notts County 2, and I'm going to go O'Brien. And I really do hope he starts, because that performance he put in showed he's listened to Ardley. He knows if I play well, Ardley said the ones that play well will be played, and I really hope he is rewarded because he was good enough. I'm going to go Carl Woodson. I think when you play the smaller sort of teams like Wealdstone, they marked him from crosses. They saw the 2 headers he scored against Kings Lynn. Boreham are going to come in and they're looking for playoffs as well. So it's not going to be that sit back, and that's when Wootton gets opportunities. So I'm going to go Wootton and O'Brien.
Yeah, it's fair.
So both predicting a win. Really, really do hope we can push on now, because there's opportunities with other teams around us having played more, and it's got to be now or never. As the first question was asked, I think the next 5 games determine if we are in a playoff hunt or an outright promotion hunt. You agree?
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely. So thank you everyone that has contributed tonight on our first ever live match preview. Please leave us some feedback, anything you'd like to see, what you did enjoy, and our schedule has been put up on Twitter. So Tuesday night we'll have our usual videos, and then back on Friday for another live match preview. As always, please like, comment and subscribe, and thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.